The saloon was alive with energy, a place where the lively spirit of the Wild West came to life. Cowboys in dusty hats laughed and shared stories over frothy mugs of beer, while the sound of guitar strumming filled the air. The scent of whiskey mixed with the aroma of hearty stew wafted from the kitchen, making everyone's stomach rumble. A group of men played cards in the corner, their voices rising in excitement as they placed bets, each hoping for a lucky hand. The wooden floor creaked under heavy boots, and patrons moved around, clinking glasses and swapping tales of daring adventures. The bartender, a burly man with a bushy mustache, stood behind the bar, expertly pouring drinks and exchanging jokes with customers. He was the heart of the saloon, known for his quick wit and friendly banter. As laughter echoed through the room, something changed in the air. A hush fell over the crowd when a mysterious woman stepped inside. Her presence commanded attention. She moved with purpose and confidence. The music seemed to fade as all eyes turned to her, sensing that this night might not follow the usual script. Little did they know how quickly everything would change, starting with one fateful moment that would shatter their carefree evening. Behind the bar stood Big Joe, the beloved bartender and heart of the saloon. With his broad shoulders, bushy mustache, and a jovial smile, he was a familiar sight to every cowboy and traveler who wandered in. Big Joe had an uncanny ability to remember names and stories, making each patron feel like an old friend. His laughter boomed through the saloon like a joyful melody, often accompanied by playful banter that kept spirits high. Every evening, he poured drinks with practiced ease, his hands a blur as they mixed cocktails and filled mugs. He always offered a listening ear for those seeking advice or companionship. The patrons would share tales of their adventures, losses, and dreams with him, knowing that Big Joe would never judge them but instead offer words of encouragement or a hearty laugh. As the night wore on, it was evident how much the community adored him. He was more than just a bartender. He was a confidant and sometimes even a peacemaker whenever disputes arose among customers. The atmosphere thrived around him, and everyone felt safe under his watchful eye. Little did they know that this comfort would soon be shattered by the arrival of the mysterious woman who threatened to turn their world upside down. The saloon door swung open, and a sudden hush fell over the crowd as the mysterious woman stepped inside. She was striking, with long dark hair that cascaded over her shoulders and a long, flowing coat that added to her air of intrigue. Her boots clicked purposefully against the wooden floor, drawing everyone's gaze as she moved with an effortless confidence. The lively chatter was replaced by whispers as patrons exchanged curious glances, wondering who she was and what brought her to their humble establishment. With piercing blue eyes that seemed to survey the entire room, she walked straight to the bar, ignoring the startled looks from the customers. The atmosphere shifted. It felt as if a storm had rolled in, bringing a mix of excitement and anxiety. Big Joe paused mid-pour, his jovial demeanor faltering just for a moment as he took in the sight of her. The woman stopped in front of him, her expression unreadable but intense. Those around the bar leaned in closer, eager to catch every detail of this unexpected encounter. It was clear to everyone that she was not just another patron. She was someone who commanded attention and respect. As she stood there, the tension grew, hinting at a dramatic change that would soon unfold in the heart of the saloon. As the mysterious woman stood before Big Joe, an uneasy silence enveloped the saloon. She locked eyes with him, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. There was a flicker of recognition in her gaze, a spark that hinted at a shared history filled with unresolved tensions. Big Joe's jovial demeanor wavered as he noticed the intensity in her expression. It was clear that their past was anything but pleasant. Patrons leaned in closer, their whispers growing louder as they speculated about the unfolding drama. Some recalled old stories of feuds and betrayal that may have linked the two. The atmosphere crackled with suspense as Big Joe took a steadying breath, attempting to mask his surprise. "What brings you back here?" he asked, his voice surprisingly calm, though it cracked slightly under the weight of her stare. With a slight smirk, the woman replied cryptically, "Just checking on old business." Her words hung in the air like smoke from a spent gun. The crowd held its breath. The tension was palpable, as everyone sensed that whatever had occurred between them could lead to drastic consequences. The saloon felt like a powder keg ready to explode. Unbeknownst to them, it was only moments away from igniting. In a heartbeat, the air shifted from tense anticipation to sheer horror. Without warning, the mysterious woman's hand moved swiftly beneath her coat, and in an instant, a gleaming gun was drawn. The metallic click echoed through the saloon like a thunderclap, freezing everyone in place. Gasps erupted as patrons realized what was happening, their eyes wide with disbelief. Big Joe's expression twisted from calm resolve to shock as he stared down the barrel of her weapon. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. The room held its breath. It felt as if time had stopped. Then, in a swift motion that seemed to defy reason, she pulled the trigger. The loud bang of the gunshot shattered the silence, followed by the unmistakable sound of flesh meeting lead. A collective gasp filled the saloon as Big Joe staggered backward, clutching his chest before collapsing onto the bar. Glasses rattled on tables, and chaos erupted as patrons scrambled for cover. Chairs toppled over in their haste to escape the shocking scene. Panic surged through the crowd like wildfire. The laughter and music were replaced by cries of terror. No one moved or spoke. They were all paralyzed by fear and disbelief at what had just unfolded before their eyes. The woman stood there, her expression unreadable, as if she had anticipated this moment all along. The moment the gunshot echoed through the saloon, the once vibrant atmosphere disintegrated into a cacophony of chaos. Patrons erupted in panicked cries, their faces pale with shock. Some bolted for the door, pushing past one another, while others stumbled over chairs and tables in their rush to escape. The jovial laughter and music that had filled the space just minutes earlier were replaced by screams and the sound of shuffling feet. A heavy silence fell over another corner, where a few men remained frozen in disbelief, their eyes wide as they tried to comprehend what had just happened. It was as if the world had slowed for them while chaos swirled around, each breath heavier than the last. In a brief moment of clarity, one of them shouted, "Call for help!" But his voice was drowned out by the frenzy. As people scrambled to collect themselves, glasses toppled to the floor, shards scattering like broken dreams. The smoky air was thick with fear. Some patrons crouched behind the bar, eyes darting anxiously for signs of what might come next. In stark contrast stood the woman, her expression unreadable amidst the confusion she had wrought. It was a scene of utter turmoil, yet amid all the terror, one thing was clear: nothing would ever be the same in that saloon again. As panic reigned in the saloon, the mysterious woman calmly stepped over the fallen barstool and glided behind the counter. The chaos around her faded into a distant echo as she took her place with an air of authority. Patrons, still wide-eyed and trembling, watched in stunned silence as she effortlessly took control of the situation without uttering a single word. With practiced grace, she began to wipe down the bar, her movements steady and deliberate. It was as if she had been in that very spot 100 times before. The few who dared to look closely saw a spark of determination in her eyes, a fierce confidence that radiated outwards, demanding respect from those around her. One by one, the patrons began to settle, their fear slowly replaced by an unsettling curiosity about this woman who had just disrupted their lives so dramatically. She positioned herself behind Big Joe's former domain, surveying the crowd with a cool gaze that seemed to challenge anyone who might oppose her. The saloon had a new leader now, and it was clear that she would not be easily intimidated. In this moment of unexpected takeover, the atmosphere shifted once again. An undercurrent of tension mingled with intrigue filled the room as everyone awaited her next move. As the mysterious woman stood behind the bar, reactions among the patrons varied dramatically. In one corner, a pair of cowboys exchanged terrified glances, still processing the sight of Big Joe's fall. Their usual bravado drained away, leaving them visibly shaken by the violence they had just witnessed. A young woman clutched her friend's arm tightly, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and disbelief as she whispered prayers under her breath. On the other hand, some patrons began to feel a flicker of curiosity about this woman who had seized control so effortlessly. A burly man with a thick beard leaned forward, his brow furrowing in thought as he assessed her methodical calmness. He had seen many things in his time, but there was something intriguing about this unexpected turn of events that piqued his interest. Meanwhile, a few bolder souls in the crowd started to feel emboldened. One man, who had always loomed in Joe's shadow, stood straighter and proclaimed loudly, "Maybe things will be better around here now." His words drew murmurs of agreement from others who felt disillusioned with the old way of life governed by Big Joe's authority. The saloon thrummed with uncertainty. Excitement and apprehension mingled and danced among the patrons like the flickering lights above them. With a steady hand, the mysterious woman began to serve drinks, calmly filling glasses and passing them to patrons still reeling from the chaos. There was an unexpected sense of order in her movements. She worked with a fluid efficiency that impressed even the most hardened cowboys. Her silent authority seemed to quiet the room, drawing attention away from the earlier turmoil and directing it to her unwavering presence. "2 whiskeys," shouted a man from the corner, and without missing a beat, she poured 2 shots, their amber liquid glistening in the dim light before she slid them across the bar. Murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd as they watched her take charge, establishing an unspoken set of new rules that would govern this space. As she tended to her tasks, patrons began to realize that they were no longer under the old regime. They were witnessing the dawn of a new era. The woman occasionally glanced at those who dared to challenge her authority, and they quickly learned to respect her silence rather than provoke it. Slowly but surely, the atmosphere shifted from fear to a strange sense of excitement, as everyone began to wonder just how far she would take her newfound power in the saloon. As the evening progressed, the transformation in the saloon became increasingly apparent. Patrons who once revered Big Joe began to shift their loyalties, drawn to the mysterious woman's commanding presence. She moved through the crowd with ease, exchanging glances and nods, fostering a sense of camaraderie among the customers that had been absent during Joe's tenure. Old alliances began to crumble as men who had been loyal to Big Joe started sharing knowing smiles and drinks with their new leader. The atmosphere buzzed with conversation, and it was clear that a new hierarchy was forming. The woman had not simply taken over. She had inspired a collective sense of empowerment among the patrons. The burly man who had earlier expressed curiosity now found himself leading discussions, rallying others around the bar to toast to this unexpected change. Murmurs of respect and admiration for her ability to handle such chaos echoed throughout the saloon. Even those who had initially been frightened began to see her strength as something to be admired rather than feared. The notion that she would protect her new domain resonated deeply, providing comfort in this time of upheaval. The saloon was no longer just a place of drinks and laughter. It had become a sanctuary under her watchful eye, where loyalty could be earned anew. As the days passed, whispers began to ripple through the community, transforming the mysterious woman into a legendary figure. Stories of her dramatic takeover spread like wildfire, captivating the imagination of locals who frequented the saloon. Some claimed she had been a fierce outlaw, returning to reclaim her territory, while others suggested she was a protector sent to rid the town of tyranny. Patrons who had witnessed the shocking events recounted their experiences with reverence, embellishing details with every telling. "I swear I saw her eyes flash like steel when she shot Big Joe," one man exclaimed, drawing nods and gasps from listeners eager for excitement. Others spoke of her calm demeanor amidst chaos, framing her as a heroine rather than a villain. Soon, the saloon became a focal point for gossip and storytelling, with newcomers eager to hear about the infamous woman who had upended their quiet lives. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation and intrigue. Everyone wanted to catch a glimpse of her in action. As more tales circulated, the woman's reputation soared, and she transformed from an enigmatic stranger into an iconic figure within the community. Her presence inspired a mix of fear and admiration, ensuring that stories of her would be told for years to come, solidifying her status as a local legend. In the wake of her bold actions, the saloon became a reflection of the complex nature of power, fear, and respect. The mysterious woman, once an unfamiliar face, had transformed into a leader through sheer force and presence. Her rise illustrated how quickly the balance of authority could shift, demonstrating that sometimes fear could forge the strongest bonds among those in shared struggle. The patrons' newfound loyalty revealed a critical truth. Leadership is not merely about holding authority but earning respect. Though her actions were born from violence, they sparked something deeper within the community, a yearning for strength in unity and solidarity against past oppressions. As stories of her prowess circulated like wildfire, patrons found bravery within themselves. They recognized that true leadership comes with responsibility. A leader must balance power while instilling confidence in others. The saloon had evolved into a sanctuary, a place where courage met camaraderie, highlighting the intricate dance between fear and admiration. In reflecting on these transformative events, it became clear that while the woman had claimed her space with an iron will, it was her ability to inspire hope and resilience that would truly define this chapter in their lives. One where respect was earned not just through acts of dominance, but through fostering a genuine sense of community.